Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. We have with us our Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Kenny Anthony, and he's been talking about VAT, his first 100 days in office, and other issues in his government. Also a brief critique of his ministers. I want to focus on VAT a little bit more, just for a little bit more time, because there are other issues I want us to address. And just to remind you, we'll be taking your telephone calls a little later on in the program. Now, VAT is a tax, and you know most people would be opposed to additional taxation.
Afraid,
but my understanding of it is that the VAT will be replacing certain taxes. Tell me about the taxes that will be gone by the time VAT comes into play.
Okay. First of all, as you know, we are part of CARICOM, and there's an agreement regarding the rates of duty on imported goods. Those rates apply across CARICOM. So duty will remain. That's the first thing to understand. What will go will be the consumption tax. The environmental levy will also go. Likewise, the hotel accommodation tax, it will be replaced by VAT. Then we have a mobile cellular telephone tax, costs about 15% right now. That will also go, it will be transformed into a VAT. And there's another one, I think the vehicle rental, the rental fee, that there's a fee imposed on, a daily rental fee imposed on hired vehicles. That is to say vehicles that are rented out to drivers and so on, not your taxi cars and so on. That goes to and replaced by VAT. So let me repeat to summarize. Consumption taxes will go. The environmental levy will go. The motor vehicle rental fee will go. The mobile cellular telephone tax will go, transformed into a VAT. The hotel accommodation tax will now become become VAT as well. So these are the range of taxes that will go.
Now, in terms of VAT, it's a new tax, so we're expecting, most people are expecting that prices will go up, in some cases significantly. Can you tell us or explain to us how the VAT will affect the present prices that we pay for goods?
I think language here is important, Clinton. Listening to you say it's a new tax. It's not a new tax in the sense that it is an additional imposition on existing taxes.
I don't like taxes.
Nor do me. Nor do I, sorry. I don't like taxes either. But it affects all of us.
Yes.
So that what in fact would happen is that it is really a replacement tax, computed on a different basis, but it is not a new tax in the sense that it is a new tax being imposed on consumers and businesses. Now, curiously, the suggestion is that the price of some items will go down. You may have marginal increases in other items, but as they say, the proof is in the eating.
Well, now the proof will be in the buying.
I'm going to suggest, though, that some of the information I have, and I don't think nobody should ever hold me to this, because in the final analysis, we have to wait and see when the mathematics is completed, what the result will yield. But the individuals at the tax office have done an exercise to determine the likely impact on some items. So, for example, I'll take a few of them. They suggest that the price of sardines could go down. I don't know whether it will be marginally or otherwise, but I'm mentioning this. They suggest the price of rice may go down. They suggest the price of sugar may go down. That is assuming the government continues to subsidize and with a subsidy. And I'm not saying that we're removing the subsidies, because I'm very clear.
Well, you have to make that clear, because...
No, I made that very clear that, look, St. Lucian's going through a very rough economic experience, and the government has no plans at the moment or in the future, in the immediate future, to remove subsidies. But we have to evaluate it to know exactly where we are going with that. Margarine is likely to go down. They say coconut oil, amazingly, will go down. Powdered milk will go down. Evaporated milk will go down. And the reason why these will go down is because they're exempt items.
I see.
They're in that basket of goods that we are talking about. Another one, shortening will go down. Bread, of course, will go down because it'll be exempt. And then, amazingly, they suggest deodorant will go down. The price of candles will go down. And I'm giving you just a few items. Even suggest batteries will go down.
Wow.
And I know the ladies will be happy to hear this. The suggestion is that shampoo will go down, Q-tips will go down, mouthwash would go down. And you know, these are just galvanized may go down, will go down. Now, do not, and brake fluid will go down, but do not hold me to this.
Well,
I mean,
for galvanized, if it does not go down, I'm coming to you.
No, don't. That's my point. Don't.
To pay the rest for me.
No, don't. I mean, this list has been prepared by our technocrats.
Right.
And to explain that, really, there may be a downward shift in some items, but you may get marginal shifts upwards. But you know, the proof is in the eating, so we have to wait until the full implementation of VAT takes place, so that we can then be in a better position to cast judgment. Let me also say, though, that VAT is a learning experience, that we have to be open-minded, meaning that yes, we introduce it, but at the same time we have to constantly evaluate it to see where the points of injury, where the points that problems have emerged that we need to resolve, etc. So it's a very interactive process. It'll have to be a very interactive process with the public as a whole.
Are we looking at a tax that is as high as Trinidad, for example, where Trinidad has 15% VAT, or is it in the range lower? I'm hoping not higher.
We are yet to determine that figure, but you know there are some islands with very high rates. I think St. Kitts has a rate of 17.5%.
Yes.
And they turned to VAT recently. So that rate is high, but there are special reasons in St. Kitts why that is the case, because St. Kitts at one time did not have, tax on salaries. Did not have a system of pay-as-you-earn tax.
Right, yes.
So they've had to reintroduce it together with VAT. But once we introduce VAT, we indicated that we'll have to make some adjustments on the personal income tax side, the personal income tax category. So we plan to do that, and the exact phasing will be disclosed in the budget.
And you mentioned in another forum that the personal exemption would move from 18,000 as it is right now to 21,000.
Once VAT is introduced.
Right.
In fact, we stated in our manifesto, in our blueprint for growth, that we would increase the threshold to at least 21,000, so that if you earn salaries up to 21,000, then you would pay no income tax on those salaries. But the key thing would be the graduation of the reductions. And I will indicate in the budget how we're proceeding. In other words, once VAT is in place, by what amount we're going to increase the tax threshold till we meet that target.
Now, let's move to, we were in regional developments already, but let's talk a little about some recent developments, the resignation of the Chief Justice of the OECS Supreme Court. What are the plans of OECS heads to get a new justice, and what are you looking for as heads of government as far as that is concerned?
The process is actually underway, and I'm currently serving as chairman of the OECS, so it falls right into my lap.
Right.
I'll tell you what the process looks like. First, the head of government that is currently serving as chairman is charged with the responsibility to coordinate the efforts to ensure the selection of a Chief Justice. In the past, and that goes back to the time when the former Chief Justice was elected, Chief Justice Barron, a search committee or a committee to assist the heads of government is set up. Normally, that committee will be chaired by the AG of the country that currently serves as chair of CARICOM. It includes a former Justice of Appeal. It includes the president of the OECS Bar Association, and I think one or two other individuals.
Okay.
These individuals will be charged with the responsibility of looking at individuals who they think would do a good job as Chief Justice. They will look at individuals who they think should be considered, individuals who are eligible for consideration of the post of Chief Justice. That process is underway, and I expect that we'll probably get a report sometime later this year, because there's a conference of heads of government in June, and we would need to make an appointment by then. The recommendation will reach the heads of government. Of course, they're not bound by that recommendation, but obviously they will have to treat it with very deep regard and deep respect, because it's of no use setting up a committee and you don't hear them out. But as I said, they're not constitutionally bound by that recommendation, but they will clearly have to pay some attention to the recommendation. They just can't ignore it and throw it out of the window. Once that is done, then once the heads are agreed, then the nomination goes to the Lord Chancellor, and who then advises the Queen to effect the appointment. So I'm expecting come June that we should have someone in place. As of now, I can't talk about names for obvious reasons. Right. But the process is underway.
Now, does it go through an application process, or do you identify people and make
I would say it's largely a search process, meaning that a committee looks around, looks at the existing justices of appeal, and looks at persons in the private sector, private bar. It has happened before that heads have plucked someone from private practice and invited to serve as Chief Justice. It has happened several times before. For example, Sir Vincent Flosac, it's a classic case. He was plucked from private practice and invited to serve as Chief Justice. So it happens. You do not have to confine yourself to the current slate of judges and justices of appeal. You can go outside of that boundary. Yeah. Great.
All right, so on that note, we'll take a break. When we come back, looking at CARICOM, we have talked about OECS, now we're going further afield and looking at CARICOM and some of the challenges of implementing the decisions taken by the heads of government. Stay with us. Newsmaker Live with Dr. Kenny Anthony will continue right after this.